We will now take you through a demo of Addict. So over to you, Gillian.
Yeah, thank you. So let's go right in. I think you are already. So thank you again for being here. You're kind of a lot. I didn't think you were that many people. So let's start directly. So all of this started with the problem that we had on IBM eyes and kind of everywhere in every IT infrastructure. So logging in passwords in every IT infrastructure is kind of important, but has a lot of issues because you can have a lot of applications, a lot of software, a lot of machines. So you force users to remember or maybe note every login password for every system, right? So it can lead to an overload for administrators because, well, administrators have to do support for people. So we estimate that for administrators, there is around 30% of all help desk calls that are directly linked to problems regarding login passwords. So that can lead to security vulnerabilities. And of course, for users, it's kind of an issue because we all know someone who notes every login and password on a post note or on a post-it. And yeah, that's not great for IT professionals. We want to have the least amount of passwords possible. We want to have secured ones, maybe one different for every machine, or use something else to authenticate directly to machines. So that's where the single sign-on comes in, right? We want to have another way to authenticate on machines and on our IT. So just for people who don't know, single sign-on is a way to access authorized resources on a basis of a single authentication when you connect to the network. So we are going to trust the first connection on the network, and that's basically it, and you can access everything that you are authorized for. There is a clear distinction between authentication and authorization. You authenticate to your network, to your systems, and then you can access authorized things, because we are going to act on the authentication part of this. We are not going to modify any authorizations for any people. And so, yeah, the objective for this is to simplify everything, simplify the authentication process for users, for administrators and support, reinforce the security level for all of this, because we won't have to remember all the passwords and all the bells and whistles. And for that, so we can use on the IBM eyes, we can use single sign-on with Active Directory, and it's quite powerful in that regard. So how can we do it? So there is 2 layers for single sign-on to work on the IBM i. We are going to use the Kerberos authentication protocol, so to link the Active Directory with the IBM i. And when we go on the IBM i, we are going to use the IM. That creates an association between your Active Directory account and your IBM i user profile. So that way you can connect directly to the IBM i with your IBM i profile and not have to remember any password. So it's really, really powerful. We can deploy it in kind of pretty much any situation and any IT network that you can have. We have a lot of examples. We have a lot of experience with that. So yeah, let's jump in. So there is some problems with how IBM implemented this solution. First, creating these associations is kind of hard. I will show you that. It has to be entirely done on Navigator for I. It's kind of a tedious process. You have to click pretty much everywhere, enter one password, maybe two. And yeah, it's really manual. And if you have like 100 or maybe 1,000 users, it's really hard. It's really, really hard to maintain. And most people that try to integrate single sign-on on their IBMIs just stopped using it because it was too hard to maintain. And whenever you integrate it, then you don't have any automation possible with it. So you cannot do anything with it besides just doing it manually. You have no tools for it, just Navigator for I. You just have no way to replicate that to the backup. If you have a replication software, it's just overlooked because all the associations are done in the LDAP server on the IBMI. So yeah, there's pretty much nothing you can do to just transfer it or migrate everything. You just have to do it again manually. So yeah, so it's really hard. It's kind of tedious, and we just don't like the way it was done in IBM. So I will show you how we went through that and how Addict can be used to automate everything in that regard. So for the two layers that we use, so we use, as I mentioned, Kerberos. So this is the first thing. So whenever you try to implement single sign-on on your IBMIs, you have to configure your Kerberos and your Active Directory level. And it's kind of hard as well. It's pretty technical. You have to pretty much have your DNSs, your IBMI, your Active Directory, and your network pretty much perfectly configured for it to work properly. Kerberos is really sensible for how you configured everything. It's sensible about the time zone that you are in, the time differences, your DNS, your naming in your DNS, etc. It's kind of tedious. Once you know exactly what you're doing, it's kind of easy, but getting to that is the hard part. And we require administrator levels for Active Directory as well as the IBMI. We need to configure the LDAP. We need to configure service accounts on the Active Directory. So yeah, we have to have a good round of tools just for it to be configured properly. And then there is the EIM on the IBMI. So the EIM uses the LDAP server on the IBMI. It's kind of an equivalent to a domain in the IBMI sense, but pretty much different and pretty hard to configure properly. And so what will the IAM do is basically you give him an Active Directory server, an Active Directory account, and whenever this user will try to connect to the IBMI using single sign-on, he will be connected to its IBMI user profile equivalent that we mapped in this part in the EIM. So it's kind of nice. You can connect really, really fast and really easily to your machines. But as I mentioned earlier, the process of mapping everything is the hard part. We have to do around 15 clicks for each and every user for each and every partition. So maintaining it in a production environment is just impossible. We tried, and some people tried, and yeah, it's not great. So yeah, so yeah, that's just a recap. So yeah, we can do a lot of things with single sign-on on the IBMI. So as I mentioned, it's pretty fast. We can use it for a lot of things. So everything that's working with the ACS program. So we can use it for connecting to the 50-50, to SQL, to the AFS. We can use it for FTP. We can use it for net server accounts, for HTTP servers that resides on your IBMI. Well, we can use it for a lot of things. And so that's the nice part. We can really connect and use the IBMI without really thinking about logging in passwords. And it's kind of flexible. You can choose which users or which type of profiles will have single sign-on. For example, we don't really recommend that security officers and all object accounts have single sign-on because, well, it's kind of a protected accounts. So we can choose really which people and which accounts will have SSO enabled. So yeah, so it's really flexible. We can do a lot of stuff. We can remove entirely their passwords. We can put people's passwords to star none and just let them connect through SSO. And once the SSO doesn't work, well, you remove the possibility for this user to connect to the IBM entirely. So that's nice. We can do a lot of things. And so we created Addict on top of that. So on top of the SSO, just to improve how we can use single sign-on on this on the IBMI. So we don't invent anything. We just empower how it can be used and how you can use single sign-on and how you can maintain it. So, for example, we can import massively people. So we can import it via CSV, for example. Just create a simple CSV file, import it, done. We can create or remove people and user accounts directly from multiple sources. We have an API to automate everything. We can use stored procedures. I missed a T here. Stored procedures. We can filter accounts. For example, if you want 6 months after deploying single sign-on, if you want to just check which accounts are being used with single sign-on, you can just go in there and check, for example, which accounts are all objects and are connecting with single sign-on. We can check who are duplicates in your system, so that way you can prevent any mishaps happening. We can transfer everything to a backup and do it automatically. So that's why you can always have your single sign-on, even if your production has a problem, or even if you transfer your production environment. Yeah, so we can do a lot of things with Addict, and we can centralize everything in one interface using, for example, a graphical interface that we created for that specifically. So you don't even have to connect to the IBMI. You just launch the application on your Windows server, on your Windows clients, and you can manage it from there. So I will show you everything from there. So as I mentioned, we have 3 main types of usage for it. We can use the green screen, so the 50-50 console. We have the Windows app, and we have APIs. I will show you it as well. You can do pretty much everything in for single sign-on with those APIs. So yeah, so just a quick deep dive on that. I'm sorry if I'm going a bit fast for all of you. I'm going to try to go a little slower. So we dedicated specifically the green screen interface for administrators, IBMI administrators. So you can, from there, check your partition that you are on, where Addict is installed, or you can go and check other partitions. We made it so you can visualize all of your partitions from one single point, so you can just do some management from there. We can automate everything from imports, from transfers, for deletion, for example. And yeah, so you can pretty much do everything from one partition. We didn't authorize the modification and the configuration from for distant partitions, just for security reasons. But if you see something for a distant partition, then you can just go in there and modify it quickly. And yeah, and we have also some programs that you can use for automation directly in the IBMIs. So you can have an entire process automated just for example, a new user. that comes in your organization. We have this graphical interface, so pretty much the same thing. We have the same functionalities from there. It's just that you can use it from your Windows server or your Windows client. And we have some task automations. So as I mentioned, REST APIs, programs, backup updates, extractions. You can pretty much do it all. And I will show you the API. So let's dive in in the server right there. So I'm going to show you everything. And so let's go up. That's my demonstration server. And let's connect to our ABMI. There. So I'm connecting through SSO. As you see, it's kind of fast. I'm going to launch Addict right there. There. So that's pretty much Addict. We see here our servers that we manage. So those are on read-only, those three, the three ones there. And this one is the local ABMI that we're going to do some things on. So here are all the associations that we created. As you can see here, it's me, it's myself, so Gillian to Gigiro. That's my Active Directory account, and this is my IBMI user profile. As you can see here, so the source is Gillian, the target is Gigiro. And you can check that pretty simply by just doing there. You can see that's my ABMI user profile, and I'm connected to Gillian right there. So I didn't use the same account. I just mapped which account I was going to connect to using single sign-on. And yeah, you can pretty much put any user you want. You can just do it once, and that's pretty much it. So here, if we go back, so you can see there are multiple colors here. Those red ones are for duplicate sources, because that will work, but will be kind of hard to define for the ABMI. This one is the same, but two different accounts. So whenever this user tries to connect to the ABMI doesn't know which account he tries to connect to and just won't allow the connection. In pink, you have all the accounts that don't exist on the ABMI. Pretty simple. We can filter it by the type of error that we want to check. For example, those are the accounts for all objects. Those are the type of accounts that we don't really want to see on IBMI. We do it for the example here, but we pretty much don't like having those accounts right here. And so if we wanted to create a new account, we could do it with Navigator for I. So I'm going to show you how we can do it with Navigator for I. Just for an example here, let's say I want to connect to my IBMI. I'm going to take you with me in the long journey of creating one association with Navigator. Just let me connect. So I wanted to show you this because maybe for those of you who didn't try to create a single sign-on on your IBMI, you don't really know this. But here is what we're going to do. We're going to go in here. So sorry, it's in French. I didn't have the possibility to change it in English, but it's the same things. So let's go here. We have to log in with the CN equals administrator. So the LDAP account, we need to, there. This is the right password. Then enter some menus, identifiers, create a new identifier, tell him this is the example, actions, a new target. Here it's target. So let's say Giro. A new source. So change it for the Active Directory domain. There. Okay. Tell him it's a source. Tell him it's Gillian. And now we're done. So that's for one user on one partition. So if you have 100, 1,000, yeah, it's really not maintainable here. In Addict, what you can do is just hit F6 right here, tell him it's example. I can write, tell him the source account, it's Gillian, tell him the target account is Jigiro, done. Hit enter, it's done. So let's say I want to, here, it's example Active Directory and example IBM there. And enter. There. And so here we can see, where is my example? It's there. It's in duplicate, but it's okay. This is the one that I created just there. So much faster to create. You don't have to log into 3 different spaces. Navigator for I. Sometimes Navigator for I doesn't really work. I don't know if you had this bug, but sometimes Navigator for I doesn't allow modifications. It tells you that the modification was done, but that doesn't work. So yeah, so kind of fast. And we can go further with this. For example, let's say I have in my home directory, let's see, I have a CSV file, /home/ up here, 5 up. I have this precedence here, CSV. If I check it, you'll see we have many precedents in there, just for example purposes. Let's copy that. And let's go back into Addict. I want to import this CSV to create associations automatically. I don't want to do it by hand. So let's hit A here. Let's paste our CSV link. Tell him there is headers, F6, import. Let him run. And there, if we open Obrek again, you'll see that our precedents are imported directly. So it was fast. I imported like 20, 30 precedents. We have Vladimir, we have, okay. So we have a lot of things in there. And let's say that from there, you want to just export it for later. If you, maybe you want to transfer all of these associations. Let's do an export. So hit F6 here. Let's import this. Let's import it into my library file. Let's say example, properly spelled there. And let's say, yeah, example. Hit enter. I've exported this. So what we can do, if you want to transfer it and you want to be sure that everything will work, let's go back into our machine, into our associations, and I'm not really afraid, so I will do F14 and remove everything. F6 validates. I'm going to remove everything. So we don't have any associations anymore. The single sign-on won't work anymore. And we don't want that, of course. We want to have all of our associations. So let's import it again. So hit 9 there, import. Yeah, it remembered that I just did this export right there. So it's in the right library, it's the right file. Hit enter. It's really fast. It takes a few seconds, and then go back again, and you have everything again. So you can do what I just did. If you have an export, a regular export, you can just clean up everything, remove everything, put back the cleaned export. You have it, or use this export to transfer it to another IBM, for example. So you can pretty much use this in the production environment. If you have 1,000 associations, you can have it as a backup, and every now and then just put the clean backup up again. So if you have some sort of automation, you know it's cleaned. And you can use that for the backup environment. For example, you can pretty much do it all from there. So so that's really fast and way faster than doing it with Navigator for I. You just saw it. It's hard. So now that we have this type of automation, we can use different type of connections. So I mentioned that we have this graphical interface right there. If you don't want to connect to the green screen, you can as well use this. So let me connect to the IBM using this interface there. And as I mentioned, it's exactly the same. So you can just go back into Obrac, and when it's fully here, and you will see that it's exactly the same logins. For example, this is the example I created for you guys. We have our presidents, so it's ISO. You have exactly the same thing, and so your administrators, your Windows administrators, can manipulate this without going into the IBM. For example, they just need an account, right? So you can have this for your administrators, or you could, for example, automate everything. And whenever you have a new user that comes into your company and you want to automate the process of creating an SSO association, well, we can use script. So that's a quick script that we created just for this presentation. Basically what it does, it will connect to the IBM using the REST API and create this user right there. So test CRT2. If we want to create it, just launch the script, connect with my user Géguiro. He will ask me for the password there. The password can be encrypted, so I really recommend it. And done. So the language depends on the language of the IBM, not the language of well, not entirely the language that you put here. So this is in French, and even if I put it in English here, it will be in French because our IBM is in French. But here, so he tells me that this user already exists. So fine, I want to delete this user. So DLT there, connect again with my user Géguiro. Pretty much the same script, just removing this user specifically because, well, for example purposes, I don't want to see him again. And done. If we go back to our IBM here, if I go into Obrac, if I search for test CRT2 in there, I won't find it. Nope, I won't find it anymore. And because there is a lot of presents here, I don't want them in here. So let's remove everything again. I don't like having all these presents. So F14, took all identifiers, remove everything. 6, sorry, there. So we know everything is not there anymore. And let's import back our example up 9, integrate Géguiro. I have another exports. How was it called? I don't remember how I called it. Yeah. Anyhow, I just going to put back the backup that I just did. So it's really, really powerful. You can pretty much do everything you'd like with those associations. And done. So yeah, if you do something wrong in this, you can just go back to your backup and everything is back again. It's really simple, really easy. You can pretty much do it all. And from there, from now on, every time you try to connect to your IBM up, let's say I want to quit. go back again. You won't have to use any password. You won't have to do anything. You just will connect. And that works with, as I mentioned earlier, everything ACS. For example, my scripts, SQL scripts. If I connect here, did I click? Yeah. Up, connected to Gegiro directly. You don't have to log in anywhere. If I want to go, for example, into the IFS, if you have some shared folders, up, let's say, go back right there, puff, I have all my files. Yeah, you remove entirely the connection process, and it's kind of secure. You don't have to, you have those users having a password anymore. You can just put *none, and all of the users will connect entirely with single sign-on. In your ACS, it's just simply modify the connection here, configuration, up, and here, modify it to use Kerberos right there, and done. Right, or modify the connection itself, and done as well here. So yeah, pretty easy to use. We have a lot of different types of networks. Of course, we all have a different network. We can make it work for different domains, different if your users are in a different domain than your IBM or than your servers. It can work as well. We know how to transfer it for backups. Yeah, we have a lot of experience, and we can pretty much make it work in any situation. The only situation that we cannot make it work as of now is if you have an cloud. How do we call it? Azure Active Directory. That doesn't work because they removed the Kerberos protocol. For now, we are looking for solutions on how to make it work again, but for now, it doesn't work. So yeah, so basically, we can pretty much do it all as you just saw. In terms of maintenance, what we have, well, we can pretty much help you deploy single sign-on on your IBMIs if you don't know, if you don't want to know how to do it the first time. We can make it work for any number of IBMI partitions. We just need to configure them properly and configure the network properly. And if you have any problem with single sign-on or with addict in general on your IBMIs, then we can help you remove the problem and just correct it and make it work for you guys. So yeah, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you. I think the chat is open if you'd like to ask any questions. I didn't have any. Maybe I was good in my presentation. So yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us, guys. We have our emails right there. So if you have any questions, if you'd like another demo, of course, we are open for it.
Thank you very much, Gideon. I mean, does anybody have any questions, comments? As Gillian mentioned, you can see both our email addresses. So please feel free to contact us via email. I think you have my email address, my phone number. So once again, thank you very much, Gillian, for the presentation, and thank you everybody for taking time to participate. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
You can choose our microphones, but you have the chat if you'd like.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, comments, okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
And we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
See you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No worries. Thank you, Dirk. Bye bye. Bye bye, Bruno.